In the middle of the Texas desert, something unprecedented is rising. $500 billion, 10 gigawatt of power, the largest infrastructure project in tech history. It's called Stargate, and it's not just a data center. It's a bet that whoever controls the compute controls the future of intelligence itself. In this video, we are going to pull back the curtain on Project Stargate, the OpenAI, SoftBank, and the Oracle mega project that makes the Apollo program look like a side hustle. We will show you why AI is not running out of ideas, it is running out of power. Why 95% of AI projects never leave the lab, and what this means for every enterprise leader watching their competitors race ahead. Let's dive in. But before we get to Stargate, we need to understand the power it's trying to solve. Sorry, the problem it's trying to solve. Here is the paradox of enterprise AI in 2026. 88% of organizations now use AI regularly. McKinsey just confirmed this in their State of AI survey. Nearly everyone is playing with ChatGPT, Copilot, or some favor of generative AI. But here is the brutal reality. Fewer than 5% of the custom AI solution ever make it to production. MIT published this analysis and it should make every CTO lost sleep. Think about that gap. 88% adoption, less than 5% production. So what's killing this project? It's not the algorithm, it's not the talent. The top three barriers are data privacy and security concerns 67%, legacy system integration 64%, AI reliability issues. Notice what is not in the list. We need better models. The bottleneck is not software, it's infrastructure. It's the boring, expensive physical reality of deploying AI at scale, and that is exactly what Stargate is designed to fix. On January 21st, 2025, something extraordinary happened at the White House. President Trump stood alongside Sam Altman, Mel Sisson, and Larry Ellison to announce Project Stargate, a 500 billion initiative to build the infrastructure for artificial general intelligence. The location, Abilene, Texas. By Texas because Texas runs its own power grid ERCOT, largely independent of federal oversight. That means faster approvals, access to wind and solar, and 6,400 construction workers already on site. The consortium, four giants, OpenAI provide the AI demand, SoftBank provide the capitals, Masterson's vision of AGI, Oracle builds the physical infrastructure, and the US government provides, let's call it strategic alignment. Now, let me put 500 billion in perspective for you. That destroys the inflammation adjusted cost to the entire Apollo program, the mission that put humans on the moon. It's larger than the GDP of Austria or Israel, and the 10 gigawatt power target. That enough electricity to power 7.5 million homes, or roughly the entire congestion of New York City. This is not a data center, this is a city scale bet on the future of intelligence. Here is the dirty secret that Silicon Valley does not want to talk about. AI is not running out of ideas, it is running out of power. Look at the trajectory. In 2024, AI servers consumed about 85 terabyte hours globally. By 2025, we are already at 150 terawatt hours. And the Gartner project that by 2023, AI servers alone will consume 432 terawatt hours, 44% of all data center power consumption. Let me make this concentrate for you. US data center consumed 183 terawatt hours in 2024. That's more than 4% of all electricity generated in the United States. Now, here is the infrastructure problem. A typical hyperscale data center, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, run at about 50 to 100 megawatts. Stargate target was 10,000 megawatts. That's 10 gigawatts and a time larger than a typical data center. The US power grid simply cannot handle point loads of this magnitude. You can't just plug a 10 gigawatt facility into existing grid. This is why Stargate is not just building servers, they are building their own power generation. Natural gas turbines today, small modular nuclear reactors tomorrow. AI is bringing nuclear power back not because tech companies love atoms, but because there is no other way to generate enough electricity at the density required. The cooling revolution. Power is only half the problem, the other half getting rid of the heat. Here is the physical reality. Every watt of power that goes into a server come out as a heat. At these densities, we are not building computers, we are building blast furnaces. Traditional air cooling worked fine for the old world. You could cool a 10 to 15 kilobyte rack by just blowing cold air over it. That's what every data center has done for decades. But air cooling hits a thermal wall above 20 kilobytes. The physics just doesn't work anymore. Interliquid cooling. The NVIDIA Blackwell racks that Stargate is deploying run at 140 kilowatt per rack. That's 10 times the density of traditional systems. You can't cool that with air. You need liquid coolant running directly to the chips through mile of plumbing. With coolant distribution units managing heat extraction in real time. Tend force projects that by the end of 2025, 33% of AI data center will use liquid cooling. That's up from just 14% in 2024. And here is the scary projection. By 2030, we are looking at 1 megawatt per rack, a single rack consuming as much power as a small factory. This is why Stargate is as much a plumbing project as it is computing project. The hardware, NVIDIA Blackwell. Let's look inside the machine. The heart of Stargate is the NVIDIA Blackwell NVL72, a single rack that functions as a unified supercomputer. Power 140 kilowatt power per rack, more than a typical restaurant entire electrical system. GPU count 72 Blackwell GPUs working in concert. Estimated cost over 3 million per rack, and Stargate will need thousands of them. But here is what makes this architecture special. The interconnects use copper NVLink connection, not fiber optics. Why? Because for short distance chip-to-chip communication, copper provide higher bandwidth with lower latency. We are talking 1.8 terabytes per second between GPUs. This means the entire 72 GPU rack act as a single unified supercomputer, not 72 separate machines. And the power architecture is shifting. The partnership announced between ABB and NVIDIA in October 2025 is developing 800-volt DC distribution. That's the same voltage architecture used in electric vehicles, which means the supply chains are converging. The data center of 2030 will look like a Tesla factory than a server room. The Agentic AI warning. Now, before you run out and invest in every AI agent startup, let me show you the other side of the story. 40% of Agentic AI projects will be cancelled by the end of 2027. That's not my prediction. That's Gartner June 2025, and here is why. First, escalating cost. AI agents that get stuck in recursive reasoning loop once through tokens and money without producing results. I have seen projects where an agent thinking cost more than a human would have. Second, unclear business value. That's a term gaining traction. Agent bossing. It's when companies rebrand old chatbot and RPA script as autonomous agents for marketing purposes. The technology hasn't changed, the PowerPoint has. Third, inadequate risk controls. Gartner also predict that 25% of enterprise breaches by 2028 will be traced to AI agent abuse. We are giving agents access to a system without the security frameworks to manage that access. But here is the nuance. Some deployments are working. Klarna's AI assistant handled two-thirds of all customer support, equivalent to 700 full-time employees. 50% autonomous handling with $325 million in annualized value. Morgan Stanley hit 98% adoption among wealth advisors. What do they have in common? They started narrow, they measured obsessively, and they kept humans in the loop. Now let me show you where AI is actually delivering consistently, measurably, and profitably. Manufacturing. The AI in manufacturing market was about 5 billion in 2024. By 2025 it's 34 billion and projection shows 155 billion by 2030. But forget the market size, look at the ROI. Predictive maintenance 300 to 500% ROI with 50% reduction in downtime. Quality control using computer vision 200 to 300% ROI, 40% fewer defects. Supply chain optimization 150 to 250% ROI, 55% fewer stock outs. These are not projection, these are measured outcomes from deployed system. At CES 2026 this month, Siemens announced the first world fully AI-driven adaptive manufacturing site in Erlangen, Germany. It uses NVIDIA Omniverse to run a digital twin of the entire factory. An AI brain that continuously optimize operation in real time. This is what production AI looks like, not chatbots factories. Let's zoom out because Stargate is not just a business project, it's a national security project. Here is what Sam Altman said at White House announcement. This will be the most important project of this era. To secure American leadership in AI, that's not marketing language, that's positioning. Look at the number in 2025, the United States captures 202 to 225 billions in AI venture funding, 79% of the global total. The San Francisco Bay Area alone received 76% of US AI funding. That roughly 122 billion following into a single metropolitan area. And now at Stargate 500 billion commitment. The implicit message. This is about China. Export control on advanced chips are already in place. China is accelerating domestic semiconductor deployment. State-backed AI investment programs are competing for the same talent. Whoever achieves artificial general intelligence first will have an advantage that compound across every industry, every military application, every aspect of society. Stargate is America's bets that they will get there first. Let's follow the money because capital flows reveal the truth market thesis. Gartner projects 2.52 trillion in AI spending for 2026. That's a 44% increase from the previous year. But notice where it's going. Infrastructure and compute 602 billion in hyperscaler capital expenditure alone. Gen AI application 644 billion. This is not evenly distributed, it's concentrated at the top. Look at the top 5 funding rounds of 2025. OpenAI 40 billion at a 300 to 500 billion valuation. Anthropic 30 billion at 183 billion. XAI 10 billion at 200 billion. Databricks 5 billion at 134 billion. Cursor 2.3 billion at nearly 30 billion. 5 companies, 70 billion in funding, valuation that exceed the market caps for most Fortune 500 companies. Here is what this means. 75% of hyperscaler CapEx is not directly tied in AI infrastructure. The message is clear. The software is mature enough, the constraint is hardware, and the whoever solves the hardware problem, wins the race. So what should you actually do this information? Number one, lock in power. Energy contracts today. AI demand is going to drive price up. If you are building on premises infrastructure designed for liquid cooling from day one, the 10 kilowatt rack is dead. Number two, appoint a chief AI officer. IBM data show that companies with CAIOS sees 10% higher ROI and AI investment. 26% of organizations have one who up 70% year over year. If you don't have dedicated AI leadership, you are failing behind. Number three, get your governance house in order. The EU AI Act fully enforces in August 2026. Only 35% of companies have AI governance framework today. Start with NIST AI Risk Management Framework or the ISO 42001 certification path. Number 4. Skip the hype. Avoid agentic projects that don't have clear ROI matrices. Focus on proven use cases, predictive maintenance, coding assistance, customer service automation. The 40% cancellation rate is not random, it's project that could not prove value. If you want to go deeper, here are the events that matter in Q1 2026. CES 2026. Just wrap in Las Vegas, January 6th through 9th, NVIDIA announced the DGX Spark. Jensen Huang delivered another keynote. Physical AI was the theme. AAAI 2026 is happening right now in Singapore, January 20th through 27th. This is the flagship academic AI conference now in its 40th year. The AI alignment track is worth watching. WACV 2020C in Tucson, March 6th through 10th, if computer vision is your focus. But one ID prioritize, NVIDIA GT6 2026, March 16 through 19 in San Jose. This is where Jensen Huang will announce the next generation of infrastructure. 500 plus session on AI factories, agentic AI and robotics. If you are making decision about AI compute, this is the event for you. EACL 2026 in Morocco closes out the quarter for anyone in LLP and computational linguistics. The gap between AI leaders and laggard will widen dramatically in 2026. Stargate is not just a data center, it's a signal. Compute is the new oil. The race for Asia is now infrastructure bar, and the company that figure out power, cooling, and governance will dominate the next decade. Here are the number that matters. 2.52 trillion in AI spending this year. 88% of the company using AI, less than 5% reaching production, 40% of projects failing. 10 gigabytes, 500 billion. The question is not whether AI will transform your industry, it's whether you will leading that transformation or reaching to it. If this analysis was helpful, subscribe for weekly enterprise AI breakdown. Drop a comment with what you want me to cover next. And reminder, in the age of artificial intelligence, the limiting factor is not ideas, it's infrastructure. See you in the next one.